You know what? I don't hate this. You were expecting me to hate this, weren't you? But I, I, I don't know. I just don't hate this. So Eminem, the legend. You know him by now. You know his career. You know the nosedive that the second half of his career seems to have taken. And you know that I hated the album Revival, as did many people calling it one of the worst of the decade, including myself. You should probably check out that video in case you haven't already. If you're an Eminem fan, though, you probably won't want to check out that video because I know many Eminem fans love Revival. And Eminem did too, which is fine, of course. He wrote an album after Revival, basically responding to the critics and the negative reviews of Revival, and it just became a grumpy mess of a release that had awful songs like Nice Guy that didn't even fit the theme, and it really just sounded like a man who wasn't self aware whatsoever of the reasons as to why people might not have liked that album. And I was sort of worried that this was going to be this new album, Music to Be Murdered By, because the intro track he does it again. He brings up some of the people that are, his naysayers these days, not understanding his craft anymore and how he's not considered the GOAT or whatever. Look, I get it. He's at that point in his career now where other people have kind of started to rise up, take his place in a sense, but Eminem's not losing his legendary status. I think he could, though, because he keeps just dropping really bad albums. Now, to be honest, though, I kind of feel like this isn't even that bad. Like, apart from a lot of bad one liners that I'll probably mention throughout the video. A lot of the terrible hooks, some of the really poor features, like this entire thing just doesn't really read to me as that awful, which is barely a compliment, but the response that Eminem gets with every release these days, that kind of is a compliment to an extent. It's an improvement in a weird way because he's just actually rapping about things I don't necessarily care for many of the things he raps about. I don't really care for his humor much of the time. I don't really care for his hooks. I think his hooks are incredibly poor. Hilarious how he says on the intro, got more hooks than Swae Lee. Where? Where, Em? Where are they? Where are these hooks you're talking about? They're not there. The terrible hook from Those Kind of Nights from Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran singing about sex. There is no greater curse on this earth, is there? Don't really care for the outdated gang vocals on the track Godzilla either. It sounds very 2014. Maybe Eminem is sort of catching up to modern music at the minute with this type of track. But saying that, I mean, as dated as it sounds to me with that kind of production, it did actually just go to number one as of today. As of recording this, in fact, the charts updated over in the UK about an hour and a half ago. Yeah, he's number one with this track. Wouldn't have expected that one to be the number one song, to be honest. Leaving Heaven, another example of a really bad hook from Skylar Grey. He continues to collaborate with this artist. I never understood why. Every time I hear her on an Eminem song, I think she sounds awful. Like, I think she's really not a good singer at all. I find her voice to just be really nasally and annoying to my ears. And the track was decent up until she came in as well. I found it so weird that someone stitched this track so loosely together. It's two separate songs. I don't get why Eminem goes for these like really triumphant choruses that have so much passion and meaning when they don't even fit the track that they're even on. Eminem has a really odd ear for music, man. Like, the track Stepdad has a great concept, a great theme. Some of the lyrics I think are really quite powerful. I mean, him detailing the story, he's done it before. He's talked about this kind of thing before. But then the way he's delivering it with his goofy as fuck voice, I just gotta know where he thinks of these ideas. Like, who tells him, yeah, that sounds good. We want this really serious song to have this type of voice. Yeah, why did you do that? Because you've got a track like Darkness that works. This is the one track where you kind of think Eminem does have a good ear for music sometimes. It doesn't throw in a terrible hook on this one. It just works the song, talking about gun violence in America. I think he has every reason to be, worried about that kind of thing. I'm British, obviously. I can't really speak on that type of stuff. America and England, well, the UK, sorry, are very different. They're very different in the way they run things. We're very similar, but we're very different. And I think speaking on that at the moment is understandable. And it's weird to hear Eminem just sound really passionate and soulful. Like, it sounds like it's coming from a place of true care that I never hear Eminem really channel. Why not do this more? I don't get it. We never hear this side of Eminem, especially in this decade too. He'll always throw in a really annoying feature that kind of just interrupts the song, or the beat will just kind of sound really off, or again, his delivery will just not match the words he's saying. But this is one of the rarest moments I think Eminem has sounded as good as this. And I kind of appreciate it, honestly. I know I keep talking about this song, but this is the best he's sounded in a long friggin' time. When was the last time I heard a song that sounded as good as this from Eminem? I couldn't even tell you. And it is kind of weird to me that, a lot of people who are hating this album wouldn't really be willing to praise this track. I kind of struggle to see what you would have bad to say about it, especially considering a lot of music publications, music nerds that I seem to come across are very left wing, and Eminem is just very much echoing a lot of the concerns that left wing people seem to have about gun control and stuff like that. So, take off your Eminem hating glasses for a second and understand that this track is actually really quite good. And as much as I don't really like tracks like Marsh or Little Engine has this really messy hook. I just don't feel like what Eminem's trying to go for in this track really works on the chorus. But as much as I don't like those ones, this album is just such an easier listen than any of his last few albums have been for me. Maybe apart from Marshall Mathers LP2. I don't even know if I've heard that one in full, but I'm talking about Recovery, Revival, Kamikaze. They're so egregious to listen to. His voice is grating as hell. So many of the features are terrible. Those albums are such a pain to sit through. Whereas I just didn't get that feeling sitting through this. The first time I listened to it, I really wasn't on board with it. But just a few tracks here and there, those kind of nice, which are really bad. So many bad lines come out of Eminem's mouth on that one. It's just crazy. But aside from those, I don't seem to get that same pain listening to this the whole way through. I kind of like the idea of Ya Ya, even though the production is just so overblown, but I just like this idea of a posse cut coming through here. The features actually come through pretty strong, I think Royce on this album kills nearly all of his verses. I think he sounds great on this album. You got Q-Tip on here, Black Thought, doing their thing, of course. They're kind of just coasting by, I must admit. This is far from any of their best verses or anything. But, I like the idea of this song more than the execution, I must say. They're the overblown production. It just sounds like it's in your face. But it's a shame because I think the track had potential. But even then, it's not the worst thing to listen to. It's not awful. It just starts at 100 and then it has nowhere to go. It just needed to kind of build into that kind of banging production. It didn't really settle you into it. It just kind of came in and then just carried on the whole way through. I enjoy Anderson .Paak's feature, surprise surprise, coming from me. It seems pretty obvious at this point. I don't know, I think he's sounding pretty slick on this one where he's like, I gotta reach back, lucky. I don't even care about it. He sounds great on here. He's like, you almost. It just goes to show, you could get a good Eminem album somehow, somewhere, if he just included good artists. It's crazy. What a concept. Including good artists that aren't Skylar Grey on your album could potentially make a good album. Who knew? So yeah, it's not the worst. I don't think it's good. I will say that. I think it's still problematic in some places. Eminem's still not quite getting it, I don't think, with some of these bars that he spits out. I mean, if you want to see how bad some of his lines are, I just want you to watch David Rowe's video. I thought about reading some of them out in this review, but he just did it for an entire video that I just feel like I may as well point you to that video and you could just watch it there. But I don't know, man, like, they're not constant, you know, they're not constantly annoying, and to be honest, some of them are kind of funny in a really so bad it's funny way, like the Bin Laden line. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of find that funny. It's not funny really, but it is kind of just so stupid that it ends up being funny. And they're not even offensive most of the time either, really. Like, a lot of the time, Eminem fans really want to build up how offensive he is. But Eminem couldn't scare me, even if he tried. Like, seriously, I don't think he could say anything that would ever truly offend me. He just hasn't got it in him. He's too goofy to possibly ever do that. But I just generally can't excuse the poor production choices throughout the album. There's some good moments, but yeah, generally this is just whatever to me. 5 out of 10. Runs too long as well. Gotta say that, it definitely runs too long. So I gotta go with a 5 out of 10. But yeah, maybe this is an overly long review. You maybe didn't want to sit through the entire thing here listening to me talk about this. But I guess I just wanted to sort of reel off my thoughts as to why I don't hate this as much as many other music critics and music lovers seem to be hating it. And that's fine if you hate it, but I'm just here to say I didn't hate it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed my review. Hopefully you have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts on this album in the comments. Yeah.